Ayesha Ophelia is a way shower in the spiritual and creative worlds. She's an author, creative director, and spiritual provocateur. Ayesha, welcome to the Infinite Drop.
Hi, I'm so glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm really glad to have you. Before we get started, I'm curious if you've heard about the Cards of Destiny before.
Sounds so familiar. Oh, it's like playing cards, but there's like
Hmm.
yeah. I have.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it's an ancient esoteric science, and it uses astrology, like the seven visible planets, and numerology, and it helps people understand more about like their life path, their karmas, like energies they might expect. And if you're open to sharing the month and day you were born, I can look up your cards. I can also bleep out the month and day in the episode if you
Sure.
want.
No, I mean, I'm a
Yeah.
birthday. I talk about my birthday.
Okay.
Everyone knows when it's my birthday. So
Okay.
11/18.
Okay, 11/18. Ooh, you're the two of clubs. And then are you a Scorpio?
Yeah.
Okay, so you get two planetary ruling cards. So your birth card is the two of clubs, and
Okay.
your planetary ruling cards are the four of hearts and the six of spades.
Ooh, okay.
So the two of clubs is a card really of like conversation and ideas. In the tarot, it would relate to like the two of swords. And it's not an exact one for one, but you can kind of take away some of the essence of the cards. And
Okay.
your planetary ruling cards, they add like a nuance to your birth card.
Mm.
And my sister, you have the four of hearts. That's my sister. I love that card. It's actually, I think the title for that card is like the happy home and family card. It's really beautiful.
Okay.
And then you also split that with the six of spades, which is the highest card of fate in the system.
Okay.
So, yeah, you're here for like really fated reasons. I like to explain the six of spades. For me, it's like, when you're a kid and we would go to those like janky, I don't know if you did it, but I did. I'd go to those like janky carnivals and there would be like all these rides that are unsafe.
Yeah.
And they had those bumper cars and you could just drive like a maniac and slam into people. Remember that like hurt your neck?
Yes.
Okay,
Because
so
they had
that's a
the little things that would like it at the top of the cage, it would make it work.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was like the stick that would go up and it would like get electricity. It was so I mean, the whole thing is so
Exactly.
crazy. I can't even like imagine like I don't even know if they have those anymore. Um, okay, so like most people's life paths are kind of like that. Like you can get in the ring and kind of like you can slam into other cars, you can go with the flow of traffic, you can go wherever. People with a six of spades influence, they tend to have more like fated things happen in their life. Like instead of the weird little carnival, you go to Disney World or Disneyland. And they had those cars that you could fake drive, but there was a line in the middle and you could never really
Yeah.
go that far off the track.
Okay.
Very cool
Interesting.
to know now that we kind of get into the conversation. So, for anyone who's unfamiliar, which I would be surprised if anyone listening hasn't at least heard of you in some way, you are an absolute master of collage. And the visuals you create always stop me like mid scroll. Like if something of yours comes up, I always stop. And it never feels like anything you're creating is based on something else you've seen. It just feels like it's kind of like directly coming out of you. It feels very source. And so I would love to know more about your process with creating visual content and then when and how this mode of creativity started for you in your life.
Hmm. Such a good questions. It's putting me back into the literal first time I saw collage, y'all. This is how much this has been a driving force for me and such a metaphor for what I believe truth is, which is just a little drop of all the things. But one of my friends in like fifth or sixth grade had collaged the front of her notebook, and something in me was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. And I just really became obsessed with bringing together little words and images and tearing them out and cutting them out, like obsessed, like probably have hundreds of thousands of collages I've made over the years, even before it became like a digital felt sense of that same universe that I created when I was a kid. But I think collage really started to mean so much to me, because it was a way to express things I wasn't ready to talk about. I was a very creative kid, but I was very like tight-lipped. Like, you weren't gonna, like, I feel for my parents because I just gave them no clue about what was going on with me. But collage really became this way to tell stories and to pull on the different threads of who I thought I was. And so that very much has bled over into the digital realm. And, in the beginning it was paper and it was pens and it was, and still sometimes is that, but it really started to become, oh, I've got collections of thoughts I want to share, and there's music, and sometimes there's, images that I've created, and sometimes it's stuff other people have created, but it really still feels like an extension of who I was as a kid and what I really found joy in. I mean, you can see my background. There's just like a ton of color, a ton of texture. That's very much the aesthetic. And I can't just be one thing. So I think that's been hard. It's been like, oh, but I like this style, and then I want to play with this. And I can really go back through my online world is like a collage in and of itself.
Yeah.
Like, like all of the pieces lead to other pieces, and they're little rabbit holes of like possibility or joy or laughter or whatever. But yeah, I love that you picked the word collage, because it very much feels like such a pillar in my belief
Mhm.
system and the way that I express creatively.
Yeah. When you just said you kind of create things like these rabbit holes, that's so true. I'm linking to everything that feels really like present for you and what's happening in your world and how people can participate and be a part of it. But what's so cool is the different URLs, and they are like little like trails. Like the websites are unique, and it's just not what you typically see. And I don't know if this is how you felt about it too, or if this just was my experience, but when being able to be creative on the internet was first starting, I feel like even if you think about MySpace or the way WordPress used to be when it was a blog and people had like their art, you would have like an RSS feed with your favorite creatives or blogging people.
Yeah.
And it really was a lot of collage style things. I would post pictures, art I'd made, poems, and then I'd write a story. And people kind of shared their whole, in MySpace, you could make it your own thing and move modules around. And it just felt more creative. And
Yeah.
now, as things have become more built out, or we say sophisticated, it feels like there's sometimes more boundaries on it. But like, it's cool when we can like find the loopholes in that, right? Like, oh, you're not going to let me create a collage. I'll go into Canva, make something cool, and then put it in your box. It's
Yeah.
like, so
Totally. Oh, I
yeah.
like that. I like that you've like called
Mhm.
in all these old school ways, because you're right. We could totally customize these little aspects of our life, and it's gotten more and more kind of square. But I think that tension has even created a creative movement within itself. But there, I mean, there is a lot of, okay, sameness and like almost too sleek. Like, that's what I really appreciate about the time that I
Mhm.
was born, because yeah, I know the computer, I'm quick on it, but I didn't grow up with it. And so there's some editing that I see, and I'm like, how, like, this has to be a major movie house. Like, and it's cool, but it's like, can I feel it, And I
Yeah.
think there's something about these little analog ways that we express ourselves that makes it really clear, and like you can really feel someone's heart in that versus like perfectly slick. And it's like, okay, that's cool,
Yeah.
but like, who are you?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Beyond all the visuals, that's just like kind of the first thing you're going to notice, right? You're also a poet, you're an author, a teacher, a guide, a mentor. What are one or two themes or topics that are just really coming up for you right now, presently, that feel sort of like urgent or important to share? Things you feel like you really want to get out there?
Yeah. Honestly, it's kind of threefold. Devotion is the bottom layer, but on the top layer is creativity and community. And the way that I've just really been encouraging people to make the art only they can make. And it's the art of your life. It's what wants to live through you. It's what won't leave you alone at night. It's like that quiet voice. And having a group of people who's also committed to bringing their art forward when everything's saying don't, just consume or do it this exact way. So to have places and people and things that are really centered around this creative expression this creative birthright that we really have more than anything. And yes, it could turn into a book or a creation or something that's for mass appeal or mass consumption, but it really begins with the urge to be a creator. Like that's always been really powerful within me, has never dimmed. If anything, it's just gotten more and more like on me, like, okay, there's more that can come through. And so being able to help people remember that they are ultimately creators. They're creating their life with the way they speak and the words they choose and the clothes they wear and all of it. It's like that can be an art form in and of itself, and really just it means to me how we express ourselves. And then something about community feels really powerful because we have gotten so used to being on these screens. And
Yeah.
also there's so much paradox. It's trying to, not even paradox, it's like what's trying to pull us apart is the polarity. Like, oh, if you feel this way and I feel this way, it's different. So we have to be at each other's throats. So this idea of centering ourselves around what's creative about ourselves and less about all these special identities or ways that could keep us
Mhm.
away from realizing that we're more the same than ever. So for me, it's creativity, community, and then how we bring our devotional spirit to life, to what wants to live through us. And I think at first, when you hear the word devotion, you think about like priests or nuns or like special people, but really we're all devoted to something. It's really about attuning our devotion towards what brings us life and what brings us together and what brings us joy or what brings us healing rather than all the other things. So I think those feel very present. You know, some I'm
Mhm.
literally like I created a 3-day symposium called Wifey that was really about devotion. It's like, okay, if you say this is what you love or this is the art you want to make, or you haven't picked up a paintbrush and you're a painter, or you want to be a writer, like are you committed to that? Are you devoted to that? Are you devoted to fear? So yeah, I think those three things feel really present for me and also really present in what I'm offering to the world.
Yeah. I've been I've been thinking about I don't know if I've been thinking of the word devotion, but I have been thinking about the little practices that each of us can do to step into the skin of the feeling we want to have or the identity that we want to feel and express and have others recognize. Um, I actually I shared with two different clients this morning different ideas for this that came to me, and I was like, hey, what's, for each of them individually, what would be helpful. But that's actually something we chatted about in preparation for this, was that concept of living your life as art. Because in my first book, I had a chapter called Life as Art, and it's just all about, it was, all the kind of early stages of falling in love with the first guy who really introduced me to this concept. Just, he didn't say it, it was just the way he was, his being, how he lived. And I love that you share that concept too, because that, it's so interesting how, you see those, I guess, used to be back in the day, you'd see bumper stickers like art can change the world, or you'd hear these things. And at first you might think, oh, that's just some artist being fluffy, or like, what does that mean? It sounds so intangible. But the more that I come to realize that it is a form of devotion, I hadn't thought of that word, but it's like when I wake up and I think about how can I adorn myself in the way that feels good? How can I, make my table setting in the morning feel really good for me? How can I make my home feel beautiful? How can I, have a little thing in my car that reminds me of something that's important to me, or the music I'm listening to? And when I do that, I feel better. I show up better for other people. I have better ideas. I'm more interesting. I feel nourished. And I'm kind of wondering how, because for me, it was through that guy I dated, is how it started occurring for me. But like, can you remember how that kind of first started occurring to you? Like how you started making little day-to-day decisions like that?
I really feel like that the creative impulse was always alive and well within me. I really do feel
Mhm.
like that. There's certain, and It's like going back to childhood, we all were so imaginative. That was so much of how we saw the lens through our world, was our imagination was such a big part of that. And so that really stayed very present with me. Even when I was thinking I was going to go into a very corporate setting, I still very much brought this creative flair to it. It's almost like when if you've ever had to wear a uniform, what little things do you do to sort of set your uniform apart? Maybe it's a little pin or a little thing that you wear. We all come in with basically the same hardware, but we get to be living expressions of nature. And when I really think about like beauty, like some of the most beautiful things I've seen, like sunsets or these fish with these impossible colors, or like this whole universe that's around us is really so beautiful. And why is that? Why does beauty change and heal us? Why does it matter? I've spent a lot of time thinking about this. I read a beautiful book by John O'Donohue about beauty. And I was like, yes, he's saying all these things that on some level I've intuitively known. And now there's someone like expressing it in this most beautiful poetic way. And I think that's what art is, and that's what it does. And I've always been aware of it, even if I didn't have the words of the language like I do now. It's always been such a way that I've framed my life, that I've gotten by. I think for a while I thought, oh, this isn't enough, actually, because artistic, creative endeavors are usually sort of cautionary tales, like, oh, well, you're going to be starving, or oh, like all the things that people who have felt that creative spirit touch their life have had to like go through. So for me, I think it was like actually learning that, oh, this can be extremely magnetic, this can be financially prosperous, this can be interesting and fun to me as well. I think that's the way that the tides are turning, is that we're realizing that. And what art is, it's just the language of the soul. It's the parts of ourselves that if we don't listen to, it doesn't matter if we get everything done on our to-do list. It doesn't matter if we have the most attractive partner. It doesn't matter if we have all the money in the world, the best body. There's something within us that's going to feel hungry and thirsty for something that is ineffable, that is the way, just the way something touches your soul, right? So I've remembered that, and I've remembered how important it is, even when I've like dulled it down or thought, oh, this isn't viable. It's like I would always have to come back to it because it just wouldn't leave me alone. And so now it feels really empowering to be kind of in cahoots with it. Like, all right, you're not leaving me alone. This is the way that my life is. The path that I'm walking is, what's chosen me and what I've chosen. So now how do I bring mastery to this in a fun way, not like a stuffy scientific way, and just like, oh, I get to experiment with this forever for the rest of my life. How fun.
Yeah, it's like we're in this field, and when the idea or the inspiration comes in, it does sort of bug you or nag at you until it's expressed in some way. And for a long time, I thought, gosh, I poured all this time and energy into so many creative projects, many websites and products and things and businesses, and like, gosh, only one or two of them really worked, And then now I look back like, oh my gosh, no, I had fun doing it. Months alone working on something like that process. I actually was having so much fun. And all of it was practice or connecting dots for other things that would come later. And another thing that's, I hope, becoming more apparent is something you touched on, is consumption versus creation. And we're here to create, and we just happen to be here at a time where all of us can put our creations onto this playing field. Like, we are the media. We all have access to be seen and heard. And so with that, if there's not conscious awareness of, oh, we're all here to create, even if you're not an artist, quote unquote, all of us are meant to create and do something, whether it's with our mouth or our hands or our bodies or our energy. We're not here just to sit passively and consume. No one, I don't believe anyone is. It's important as like new technologies and new systems are born to make sure like, oh, are we still doing what's natural, or has there become something that's maybe taken our attention? We have so many people feeling unsatisfied, unfulfilled, confused, frustrated, depression, just unhealthy behaviors and habits. And a lot of it stems from accidentally just starting to be in a consumption mode only and forgetting what you're here to do and express.
Yeah. And don't forget that online is just an extension of like what you can taste, touch, and is so precious to you in your life. We say in real life, but the internet and the way that we've all found ourselves on this super powerful platform that connects us, that actually has brought in more real news than the news, which is just paid for. So it's such a mirror for where we're at and where we get stuck
Yeah.
and what we need to remember. And it's so much about letting just that part be an extension of a life well lived. It can be tricky when our livelihoods are wrapped up in it, or some parts of our identity, or we're getting all these like cheap dopamine hits from it. There are parts of it that we really have to unlearn and relearn certain things that feel really important about it. And then also just making art for art's sake. Like that's something that I still do. I for a time forgot how important it is to just like pick up something and make a collage, or make something that isn't just digital. It feels so good to be tactile with life in that way. And I don't think
Mhm.
it's just an accident that we've become more consumers. There's a whole huge industry that is really trying to keep us fat on that calf, and to forget that we came here to be ultimately creators of our reality and what we see. Like there's so many deeper layers to it. And so one of the ways in, the avenues in, can be like what creations want to live in you, not necessarily to go online. Like for a time I was like, I want to learn how to freestyle rap. It's never going to go online, but I'm going to sit in my room and I'm going to like try to make this art, or I'm going to learn something that makes me feel really alive. It's about letting the aliveness that is everywhere flow through you as the vessel.
Yeah. I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I'm sitting here looking like this direction. Behind me is my bookshelf, but this direction I have like a collage vision board I made last year, some watercolors. I've got some like cutouts for magazines down here. I always like to keep the kind of tangible physical stuff out so that if I'm in the house and I kind of feel that urge, like, oh, I'm going to go see what's on Netflix or whatever, it reminds me, like, just go in there and like create something for a little bit. And sometimes I'll get lost in it. Sometimes I'll go watch Netflix, but sometimes I get lost in it.
I
And that
like it.
feels really good just to have it available. It's like it doesn't have to be some big thing. You can go to an art store, you can look around at like stuff you have around the house and maybe some markers or paint and just have it out somewhere. I have journals all over and I'm always like drawing with like ink and gel pens and doodling, and it's nothing fancy. Nobody's probably ever going to see it,
Yeah.
but it just keeps that part of me moving. Um, and it feels good. It feels really good just to kind of turn the brain off and get away from a screen. So
Yes.
you you posted something recently about the good girl era being over, and that is definitely a major theme coming up for like 95% of the women I know in my life, whether they're clients or friends. What are your thoughts on that? And like, how are you experiencing it? What does it mean to you?
Yeah, I like it. It feels like a thread that I've been pulling on as I've been wanting to just reclaim my power, my sovereignty. And it's like, oh, there's so much of that that's bound up in these versions of myself that have to be palatable, or have to be this, or have to be that. And I think even in our minds we go, it's so polarized. It's like either we're a good girl, or we're like just the biggest sinner, like out there just like tearing down the world. And so for
Mhm.
me, letting the good girl sort of like be composted is into this more holistic version of myself, where all these different aspects of me get to live, where I'm not leaning on one to avoid ruffling feathers or whatever. And it's interesting, after I made that post, I got connected to someone's work who wrote a book called Unbound. It's Kasia Eubank, I believe. Did we talk about this?
I'm reading
Yeah.
it right now. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
that I have a little book club with some friends, and so on my birthday we had like a bad girl party theme, and this is before I even got the book. It was just that I had made that post, and then I was on master communicator symposium, and they were talking about Kasia, and I'm like, who's this person? And then it was just like a series of events. Does this happen to you all? And then my friend Erin, out of nowhere, is like, I get to have a +1. Do you want to come online and go to this thing? And it was all about some of these very principles that I've been working on. And so in that sense, I feel like when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And so it's
Yeah.
been nice to like really bask in her work and all the paradox she's held, and the way that women have been taught to work with power and the way that men have, and not in this way where it's like, oh, down with the patriarchy and it has to be perfect before we step into our power, but more just about reclaiming our power of resilience as things are now, so we can actually create our true art and let that new world that blossoms around us, women truly being in our power, learning our power, wielding our power. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's maybe the 7-year cycle that a lot of us are in. It's just having to do with like this version of, and when I say die, it's not like it goes away, but it just becomes a part of the whole, and you just become an integrated person. And I think there needs to be more spaces where we learn to talk about power and work with some of these things that seem so scary. I think we've distanced ourselves from it because there's not been good examples, but it's just time. It's just time.
It's so time. It's absolutely time. And I love that book. I'll link to that and also the book by John O'Donohue that you mentioned in the show notes. It's again called Unbound. And what's so illuminating to me is the explanation of how submissive and dominant authority or power actually works. And it's she has such a nuanced understanding. If I'm remembering correctly, she studied to be
Daoist.
a Daoist nun. Was that what it
Exactly.
was?
Yeah, it was Daoist nun, and she was the top dominatrix in New York City for a while. So
Yeah, top
I just
dom in
started
New York City. It's like,
seeing the similarities between these paths, which is just so interesting to me. And what we think of when we think of someone who's domineering and what we think of when someone who is submissive. And it's really about how we're holding our energy and even some of the words we use, and just so many of the things she has said or expressed. I'm like, yes. But now there's this like little training manual that we can put ourselves through to,
right.
because power is meant to be used. And I think that felt really like, oh my God, it's not like, oh, I want to remember how to be in my power. It's like you have to like utilize your power, right? And that felt really edgy and cool as well.
Yeah, I love how she talks about having a command on like where you put your attention. And
Exactly.
of course, there's so many subtleties and nuance. It was so interesting because I went to this secret Santa holiday party last weekend, I think it was. And, there's a bunch of people there, and I had on black leather pants and like a sheer black shirt and like a black bustier. And I go up and like pick up my secret Santa gift, and it's in front of all these people, and I open it and it's a Dom kit. And I was like, oh my God, it was so because I matched the outfit. So I like took the little spank out and like spanked myself and like did a little cute dance. But I was like, this is so funny.
Yeah.
And it turns out that the gift was actually gifted by my friend who introduced me to the book Unbound. It's Jamie, if you remember.
Yeah, I
Jamie,
do.
yeah. So I was just sitting there like, okay, so funny. And I don't know if you know Dylan, the human design maven. Do you know Dylan?
So
You would like him. I'm pretty sure he follows you, but he's like the human design expert.
nice.
He was on the show like 2 or 3 episodes ago. And before our episode started, he was looking at my birth chart and my human design, and he was just out of the blue. He's like, oh my God. He's like, I forget how he phrased it, but he was basically like, dude, your chart is like the top dom of all time. And I'm like, wow. I'm like, wait, what? And it was so surprising. And I thought, this is so like, I've never thought of that before, right? I do know I have some interesting like 8th house Aries Venus placements, moon placements that are fun, but he gave like a longer, more descriptive reason why. And so I sent him a photo from the Secret Santa party. I was like, dude, like the universe is trying to get me to go somewhere. This is really
It
funny.
is. It
Yeah,
is.
it is. It is. Yeah, and this good girl era over, I love how you just articulated all of that. You're so excellent at being direct, but I can feel all these edges, or I feel like not edges, I feel like this nuance around it, and it takes the edges off, is what it
Mm-hmm.
feels like. Whereas I am typically very direct and you feel the edges. And so it kind of comes in and people are like, whoa. And
Mm-hmm.
that's part of my design as well. Like I am, any system you look at, I'm meant to do that. I'm meant to get right up to the mirror with people and be like, what's up? And a lot of people, it startles them. And that's important. That's my role. But the way you explain things is just so beautiful, and I feel like it's so important right now. And you're able to talk about things that are sort of hot topics at the moment and just say them in ways that I feel like invite more people in, and it gives them like a little bit of a, they don't feel so like hit with like, this is what I believe, this is what I think. It's like you just come in and you're like, hey, this is how I am. And then people are like, oh, that doesn't feel too scary or too bad. I wonder what that's about. I wonder if I'm curious about that.
Yeah.
And kind of tying it all back, I'm trying to get to a point here, but it's my Mercury and Pisces. Sometimes I just start swimming. But the good girl era, there's so many, it doesn't feel like a black and white thing. I think we went through this time of like girl boss era, and that was important, right? We evolve. We have feminism and we have the rise of all of that, which was important and needed at that time. And then as we get to another level, we have to evolve and shift and change.
Pendulum.
And yeah, the pendulum. Yeah. And it's just so, it's almost like on the top of a lot everyone's lips, and it's such an interesting time to be experiencing. I 2 nights ago I was working at the WME holiday party, and I was sitting with their agents and artists and different people, and I was doing tarot readings as part of the event. And I would say over 90% of the women that sat in front of me were talking about kind, good energy, stunning, gorgeous, sweet, silly, successful women, all shapes, all sizes, all colors, all backgrounds, anything you can imagine. And the number one thing, they're all going, I've been single for so long. I don't know what to do. And I was just sitting, I was blown away. I know that dating's been challenging for me more recently. I know dating's been challenging for my friends. And I've thought, well, maybe it's just me or my friends. And to sit there with just a lineup of women and
Mm-hmm.
all confused about this. And it's just this time we're in where I believe we're trying to find this new balance and identity, and we're all trying to figure it out together. And it's not black and white. It's not men are bad. These women aren't single because men are bad. It's just this recalibration. And I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, or if you've heard that or you experienced it. I know there's kind of a zeitgeist going around right now.
Definitely. I think we're in an awkward part of the pendulum swing where I think we just got done not blaming men. Like for a while, it was kind of fun, right? It kind of was. It
Mm-hmm.
was like, oh, they've never
Mm-hmm.
been held to task, and we did
Mm-hmm.
that for a minute. Some people's minutes lasted longer, but I think we're in the like weird haircut part of coming back to, because it's true, like all of our, like every different, the boomers, they made it and got together for different reasons than millennials are X. It's like each of us is bringing, in the human design or the gene keys of it all, it's like this new human is continuing to come online, and we're also bombarded with the ways that we're supposed to do it, and a lot of the ways we have to be disenfranchised with that to some extent, I think, to really be in a place of receptivity and openness and leaving the past behind and coming into it clear and communicative at the same time. It's like both men and women are learning how to be that. And I very much was in that process as well. I was married and then unmarried in like my mid 30s. I'm like, oh my God, this is like when people are having babies and doing all the things. And I'm starting over at this time. How interesting. But it really ended up being such a power move for me because I took some time off. There are some of my friends who are single, and I'm like, oh, I know why you're single, because you're literally in a loop. And I've watched you be in this loop for so long. And we all need pattern interrupts from time to time just to save us from ourselves. But yeah, there's a lot of men and a lot of women who are ready to do it differently. And I think it's just
Yeah.
about the coming together and relearning how to communicate and speak to
Mm-hmm.
each other and speak truth about what we truly
Mm-hmm.
desire. Yeah, we're in a big reformat around relationship. And I see that and I get that.
Yeah. In another interview, I heard you say that you wanted to be a lawyer growing up. It seems like when we're little, we have things that we're attracted to for certain reasons that might be innate and like important to us, like as a skill to use in the future. So I'm
Yeah.
curious if you're using any of the skills that would have been good to be a lawyer now, and maybe what happened that you ended up like finding and living according to something you like to call your true blueprint.
Hmm. Yeah, that's so funny. I remember that in the first or second grade, they interviewed us and they asked everybody what they wanted to be, and I said a lawyer. And I think it was probably just because of my family dynamic. I was two things very deeply, very kind of quiet, reserved, would create these whole worlds for myself, but then would surprise people when I would like come out of my shell and like tell somebody. So like when you were talking about like what your skill is, I really feel like I like to build a bridge like in between paradoxical. I like to build bridges with people and then I do the lean in, because it's like I do have strong opinions, but they're loosely held because I don't think it's who I am. Like there's a piece of me that really knows I'm a soul here on a curriculum, right? And then there's the part of me that's human and very much in all of it. So I think me saying I wanted to be a lawyer was just me being like, oh, I can like do this when it's necessary. So I think that's where that was coming from. And then, our true blueprint, it's like you can just really feel when you're around someone who is in some way connected to that wellspring within themselves. And sometimes it's their whole world, it's everything they do. And sometimes it's just one, like you go to someone's garden and you're like, holy crap, you've got the green thumb. You really care about what's going on here. This is so inspiring. And that's what I think that true blueprint really wants to show you, is something about yourself that you value, that you want to give your time to. And so for me, it's less about adding something on and it's more about removing the masks, the ways that we tried to please. So what is true underneath can come about. Like that's what space was all about. It's like if we give ourselves enough space and time to really listen and then to like let some of these old stories wash off of us, then we're going to be magnetic for that relationship. Then we're going to be able to, call this thing in or whatever. So it's about like, it's nature's design. It's so simple, but it's so hard to slow down. It's so because we think we're going to be
Mhm.
behind or we're going to miss something. And there's so
Mhm.
much magic in that listening, receptive state where our true blueprint can really activate. I really believe that.
Yeah, and when you refer to space, you're referring to a 4-week container that you held that I was a part of, and it was so eye-opening. One of the first things you had us do was really consider the first container or vessel that ever held us and like what that space was like.
Yeah.
And for a lot of us, that was our mother, whether being in the womb or in that first kind of motherly like community, whoever was raising you. And it was such a powerful exercise. And it's so fascinating how it feels like it's just something we should be taught from the time we're little. Like just a little bit of space, just a little bit of breath and time really shifts I mean, it will shift the perspective for, I mean, I can't imagine anything it wouldn't shift your perspective on, even if it's just a little bit, or like give you a little more clarity around something. So I'm wondering, for people who maybe haven't discovered what their true blueprint is, what are some practical things they might do? Or what are a couple things that you recommend, one or two things that might be easy that they could try right after listening to this?
Yeah, I think one of the deep sort of mirrors into that for me is my inner child and what I enjoyed doing when I didn't have to pay bills or there was less stress. I know we've all come from different places and have had different childhoods, but is there a part of you that could reconnect with something that you really enjoyed doing? And for me, if that's not present in my life right now, there's a part of me that is withdrawn because as much as we like to think that time equals maturity, it doesn't just happen to us, right? Those first shapes that we take and those first environments that shape us usually stick with people for quite a long time unless we're in some active like shadow work process and we're actually owning it. It's why there can be, 80-year-olds who don't feel like elders. They're still tripping up over things that a little time and space would have allowed them to integrate and to recalibrate around. And so as we're learning more about ourselves as even just a species, it's like nobody was talking about the nervous system barely a decade ago, like barely. I remember like doing my first nervous system thing 7 or 8 years ago with Kimberly Ann Johnson, who's really well known for it. She was talking about women, money, and the nervous system. I'm like, whoa, this is like revolutionary. So for me, who's also been on my own journey of healing, space was a lot about like letting your body do the heavy lifting. So this idea that, shadow work is like this, like, oh, we have to like go in and we have to excavate and we have to retell these stories. It's like, no, actually, sometimes we just have to go into places that are holding. So places that are tight, places that are worn, places that could just use softness or time or whatever, some of the things that you really have to slow down to be able to feel or sense that something so natural happens. And it's like, it's grace. It's the same force that beats your heart that is coming in and saying, oh, this person's like breathing deeply. I'm going to go and help them relax around this. And then your body relaxes. And therefore, some part of you that was bound up in this shape that wasn't authentic can fall away. Like, I really believe in the innate, intuitive power that is our bodies. And if we give, like, even just fasting, it's like, I could just talk about fasting for so long and get so many people in trouble because we think we need to go ask our doctor. And by all means, if you're under your doctor's care for something that's really complicated, but like just withdrawing food and drinking water is how the body heals itself. It just literally needs time to catch up with all of the things that we're eating or consuming. It all has to be processed. So yeah, there's just something about going back to simplicity and not making the spiritual paths too hard or too overcomplicated. Like, tap into kids, tap into like what you really want to do sometimes, that you say, no, I can't do that. I don't have the time. I should do it this way. I'm going to take the shortcut. I love handwriting letters, but I'm not going to do it. It's like, no, actually inviting yourself into some of those practices that you said no to yourself for whatever reason.
It's not to underestimate the intention and effort that sometimes needs to go into healing or into resolving a part of your experience or life that you're done experiencing. It's not to underestimate that, but you make a great point in that it doesn't always need to be complicated. We don't always need to go back and re-traumatize ourselves and journal about something or go to talk therapy and talk about it over and over and over with a million friends, right? Or it's shared a million times to the same few friends. There is such power in the wisdom of our bodies that we may never understand in this lifetime. I don't think we will, but we'll maybe understand a bit more if we're here for a bit more. But I work and practice inside of a community called the Training Tree, and I'll also link to that in the show notes. And it's a group of practitioners. We come from all different backgrounds, and there are workshops and classes and a monthly calendar of things. And it's really for people who are interested in exploring what you already know intuitively, but haven't made space to explore yet. And being in a group and everybody just kind of like resetting, and then you feel a little more space, and it feels like that is the path that many people at this time are choosing to kind of step towards more. It feels better to not be so in the mind and trying to pack in knowledge and systems and do it this way. It's like we can just kind of tap back into our natural rhythms. But in order to be able to do that like effectively, safely, in a way that feels good, we have to be in touch with our bodies and in touch with our rhythms. And all of that starts with just space. So,
I like that. That's such a beautiful way to just tap in, because we're so often on autopilot. And I will push back just a little on the way that we've done it in the past, because I think we've overcomplicated healing. It's the reason that you could sit on a couch and talk about something and you might feel better for a moment, but you're still like living in those patterns. It's like the wisdom of the body is that it can resolve. And I might be a tiny bit off on the timing, at least from the last I knew, was that an emotion could kind of resolve within the body within 7 seconds. It's like we truly are such resilient creatures, and we're just overusing one muscle. We're just overusing the head, where the heart, the heart math, the whole thing with the heart math is like the energy of the heart is so much more powerful than even this processor. This processor can just rationalize, and it's almost like an insurance auditor. It's like, oh, well, you did this without this much whatever, so this is what your animal body's going to feel comfortable with. But like when we get into the truth of that, like when we balance the head with the heart, then we have coherence, then we're in the coherent field, then we're so much more powerful than when we're just using we can't use our minds to heal. You need to have the vulnerability of the body connected with it. And I do feel like this is kind of the new frontier. Like we were doing it the other way, and I think that's why we were in this crazed pattern. But we're like, there's this new possibility that's forming around even imagination, like how good it feels to just close your eyes and imagine. Like everything that we see in physical form was first imagined, and now it just seems like we're reimagining someone else's imagination when we really have our own unique imagination. So that's part of like this blueprint, is like we're not parroting anymore, and we're not, of course we're living in some symbiosis, so there's going to be some similarities, right? Like we're all just a different emanation of whatever the mysterious thing is, but it's through the lens of who you are, and that's a unique thing, even though there's so much that's similar. And that's what I'm a fan of, is like people that have turned that thing on somewhere in their life, and it just feels so clear, it feels so good, it's so life-giving.
yeah, coherence, resonance,
Yeah.
clarity. I'm going to open my window shade really quick to get a little more light. Recently, you shared that your word for 2026 is audacity. I want to know where the idea emerged from and how people might live more audaciously if they hear this and they're feeling inspired by the word.
It's one of those words that I think it like kind of gives me the ick, but I'm also really glad that it's here, because I think a part of me, like that's the really like self-righteous artist, is like, okay, like what you do is serious, and you got to train the right way. And of course you need to have integrity. There's certain things that I feel that are really important to development of a soul. Like we need to be in service to others before we, like, yeah, we need to be an apprentice before we like get the cobblers, whatever. Like we need that. And I think Audacity is coming in, and for me, because I could stay hiding in that forever, where I'm like, okay, one more certification, like one more thing before I really come out and say the thing that I need to. And I'm like, there's people with less of whatever who are just simply audacious. Like you have to be visible in some way. And that's been the reason I'm teaching that, the voice, vision, visibility, that, it connects to Audacity, is because I've been such a hermit type, really kind of introverted. And the last 10 years of me sharing myself has been such an interesting experience, like finding the part of me that does enjoy it, finding the part of me that isn't afraid to share her words, finding the part of me that feels most alive when I'm doing this. So I think Audacity came in to just be like, all right, you've done all enough of the other stuff. Now it's time to just bring this courageousness, this audacious nature to things that you want to create. So like, for instance, I had this like little, it feels like it's either like what do the kids call it, minty beat, like a mental breakdown, or it's really like some new pathways like coming together. And I was just like, it's all made up. Like, it's so crazy
Mhm.
that it's all made up. And we're still
Mhm.
like really painting neatly inside these boxes. And like, I just had, it's the perfect amount of like mortality mixed with the time in my life, mixed with what I'm ready for. And it's like audacity, like this kind of courage that backs yourself, this kind of courage that says, I don't know how I'm going to create this thing, but I'm going to start talking about it. I'm going to create it. It takes some form of like delusion or audacity to really change anything. So I think I've just been embracing that word and turning it over in my mind, because I think I used to associate it kind of negatively, like, oh, that person has the audacity to do that. And it's like, yeah, they do. And yeah, you do. So yeah, it feels like a reclamation. You know, when you're like kind of hating on something, but it's like probably because you need it or you want to do it. So
Mhm.
yeah, I just moved closer and I was like, oh, this feels important.
Yeah. I'm still trying to figure out what my word is going to be. My word in 2025, I'm looking up at it right now on my whiteboard, was magnetize. And I wanted to have the experience of having what it felt like to have more things come to me rather
Yeah.
than me going out to get or do. And I haven't sat back yet to like, I usually towards the end of the years, I've actually usually started by about now. So maybe it'll start later this week, but I usually go through and look at my calendar and I look at like meetings and appointments and what happened. And I'm usually blown away because
Yeah.
if I just think of like maybe a few things that happened and then I'll be like, oh man, I didn't really get a lot done this year. And I like
Mhm.
without fail, I look back at my calendar and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm a psycho. Like, how did I get all of this stuff done in one year? Um, but I do know just off the top of the feeling with having that intention and wow, so many things came in and my business shifted in so many ways that I didn't plan for it. It wasn't like I went to a business coach and was like, how am I going to shift from this to this or this? It just by being in the energy and like I talked about at the beginning, like being in the skin of the person who would experience this and who is this. By doing that, so many things were attracted in opportunities and clients and being able to teach within different, containers and people coming to me, hey, would you like to be a part of this? I'm still kind of feeling into what my word will be for 2026. If you're open to it, I'd love for people to experience your voice in the way that I've had the opportunity to experience it inside of a container. Just, I don't know if there's like a guided visualization or something else that might ring true. Just,
Yeah. Well, I'm feeling inspired by. I hopped on my IG live the other day because I had posted something. It was like all these rest in peace, and the one that stood out for me was rest in peace to the part of me that was seeking clarity instead of devotion. So I'd love to just drop people into a way to start to feel into their word for 2026. And I think it's a nice process because my word started out off as one thing and then it kind of morphed into something else. And really, that word held my year very nicely. But I played with a few things before. So this will be for people that want to have like an anchor word. For some reason, I'm thinking of it's almost like a safe word, but it's like a word that feels really like, yeah, let's just close our eyes. If you can close your eyes and you're not driving and you'd like to just be in a world of possibility with me where your inner knowing is going to guide you to a word or a sensation or a feeling. So just coming into space around you, start to feel what the air feels like against your skin. Maybe there's something that you can smell in the air, just bringing your felt sense back online in a strong way. because your body is such an avenue for information to come through, a vessel. So just start to picture that it's a year from now. Let's start off with a little Benjamin Button action. It's a year from now. And you're looking around and you're feeling accomplished. What is there with you? Did you start writing in the morning and now you have a manuscript? Did you start a beautiful practice and now your whole body feels different? What thing did you finally take action on? And as you've projected yourself into this future possibility, what energy was really required for that possibility? Maybe it was courage, maybe it's audacity. Like, what word would really anchor you to that writing practice? Or maybe it's just to telling people that you're open to partnership. What word, what energy is that? And not because we're forcing an outcome, but we're just getting curious about the energy that we really want to shape and hold the year that's coming. And maybe like a better question would be if there was like a cure-all, if there was like a thing that really could come in to help you step into the next layer of what you're desiring, of what you're wanting, what would that be? And just taking this time to kind of flirt with possibility, to flirt with what's next. The universe loves to see people in action, people desiring, people curious, people willing. And so when you're ready, just let it be really simple. I think if we simplify things, we get so much energy back. We don't have to wait for this perfect lightning strike aha moment. We can just begin to mold the clay. When you're ready, just fluttering your eyes open and writing down a list of words or a list of feelings. And I'd love to know what came up for you, Aubrey. Tell us. Oh, I think you're muted.
Oh shoot, I'm glad I guess you would have noticed eventually. I'm glad you asked. It made me laugh. I was laughing. I said, I knew you were going to ask me this. I knew you would ask me. So it was interesting. I had these feelings of like, at one point I noticed that because my eyes were closed, I noticed that my chin was like up high. And I felt all this energy like kind of coming up, and it felt light and sort of like a spring of like just youthful, like light energy. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. I wonder what that is. And the word or the feeling that came to me was like being more social, having more movement in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like in this past year, 2025, Magnetize for me, there comes with that a need to like anchor and allow things to come and then either accept or decline.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you were doing that, my body was like just having this sparkly energy, like, okay, we've experienced what that's like now. You can do it. It works. It's fun. And what would it feel like to have a bit more movement each day?
Yeah.
And Yeah, for me, I felt myself like, um, being open to more dates, like saying yes to social things that this past year I've been like, well, that's not totally aligned. It's like going out and being like, who cares? Like kind of a return back to sort of like um, being more open, I
Yeah.
think. So there was something with social or having more movement.
Yeah. I love that. It feels very much like for you, like the year of yes. And it's interesting because we're talking about power dynamics. I feel like you were in a very submissive, like your energy was drawn in, and you were like, and now
Mhm.
you're just going to be the dom that you are.
I know. I'm excited for it. I'm like, I'm gonna have to pull those black leather pants out
I
more.
know.
I've got the
Yes.
whole kit. And like on
Exactly.
Halloween, I had these black lace gloves with like red. I kind of looked like a dom for Halloween too on accident. I dressed up as the Duchess of Terrandor, which is from a fantasy book
Uh-huh.
called The Fourth Wing. It's like a series and it's about dragons and dragon riders. Such a good book. I love the series. When I had the outfit on, if you go to my Instagram and you'll there's a reel in the front image of it. It's just a few back is me in like a red velvet dress and I'm sitting on a throne. And someone said, "Oh, that's a cool AI image." I said, "That's a real image. That was an actual throne at a party I went to that I happened to match." Like I sat down, the photographer's like, "You matched the throne."
Love it.
Um, and when I was after I got ready for Halloween, I looked in the mirror, I was like, I kind of look a little dommy in this outfit. Like it's intense. And my nieces who are younger, they were looking at me, and one of my nieces said, she goes, "This just kind of looks like your regular outfit." And I was thinking, it's so odd because I don't dress like that. I said,
Yeah.
"What do you mean?" She goes, "It just seems like you. It seems like your personality." I said, "Oh," I just took it as a compliment.
Uh-huh.
And I went outside in my driveway to leave. And one of my neighbors, it's a guy, he comes up, he just starts chatting to me as if I'm not dressed up for Halloween. And this was like a week before Halloween, but he just is chatting with me normally. And
Uh-huh.
do. And he's like, where are you headed out tonight? And I was like, a Halloween party? And he's like, oh, yeah, of course, duh, Halloween. But I realized in that moment that like my essence matched that outfit so much that he might have thought, oh, she's a little dressed up. But I was like, I'm literally wearing a dragon queen outfit and you don't
There you
notice.
go. There
Yeah.
you go. You can't argue with life. It's like life showing you little tidbits about yourself. I
Oh
truly
my gosh.
I love it. I really do.
Yeah. I loved that exercise. Thank you for sharing that. And I know so many people around the world will appreciate that too. And as I've said, I've linked to all of I mean, there's a bazillion socials, but I've linked to the pertinent socials, your Substack, Instagram, your website. And I've also linked to another website where people can work with you in 2026. And I'd love for you to share a little bit more about this program that you're offering, this container, and how people can be a part of it.
Yeah. I assume you're talking about Vessel, and the website
Mhm.
is called You Are the Vessel. And it really feels like a distillation of the last 10 years of my life and what's really helped me to reveal the art that I'm here to make. And the way that I've really done that is through somatics, through soulful storytelling, and through structures and strategies. And it's a way for our voice, our vision, and women to be able to step into visibility. And it's a 9 month, I'm calling it a chrysalis instead of container, because it really is about creative incubation. It's about dream tending, and it's about how we really make meaningful change in our life. And it's usually not at a fast pace. It's rhythmic and it's cyclical. And for me, anytime I've been in community, it's really just like super potentized who I am and who I'm becoming. So it's kind of like what I consider spiritual alchemy. Like, how do we just put ourselves in the right environment to let what's true and real about ourselves be revealed? Of course, there is a deathing process. There's a process of releasing stories. There is shadow work, but it's also really human. and it's fun. And some people are coming in with a really strong impetus to create a book or create a course. And some people are really just wanting to reveal the creativity that's underneath. And so we're going to be going on this beautiful 9-month journey and then coming together in person at the end of it. And yeah, there's definitely more about Vessel on that site, but we actually there's only 4 spots left, so I'm not sure when this airs. I'm just doing it with 12 women the first year to really see how this small group container goes. But yeah, all the information is on youarethevessel.com. And like you said, I've got this patchwork of online universes you can hop into. My Substack, the Unlearning portal is where all of my classes and things for humanities live, and where many more classes and courses are being created by other creators. So yeah, that's me.
That's the spiel. Yeah, we're recording this December 19th, 2025, and this episode will be up before Christmas. So
Okay.
yeah, I wanted to make sure to get it up in time so that if people hear this and maybe you have a secret Santa that likes to buy you nice things, or maybe you like to buy nice things for yourself at Christmas, you can snag one of the remaining 4 spots in Ayesha's Chrysalis called Vessel.
Yes.
Yeah, so is there anything else you wanted to share? Anything you were hoping we'd get to that we didn't cover?
I feel like we hit the high notes. We did a little dream
Mhm.
tending, shadow, control, play. I'm really I light up when I see people living as themselves. I know we've talked about it in many different ways with different language, but I feel like, you know, what's really needed is people in their authenticity, their truth. Um, those words are so overused that they can kind of lose their meaning, but I think you feel what I'm saying, because we've talked about it in
Yeah.
so many different ways. But yeah, if you're in the midst of some creative part in your life and it's not looking like you thought it would, or it's not feeling like you thought it would, stay the course, whatever that looks like. Sometimes it looks like putting it down. Sometimes it looks like reinventing. Sometimes you come back to those things, but it's very much how you were saying, like, you had done all these things, but looking back, they're so big. Like, the energy the creator that you become in creating them gets to stay with you, even if that creation goes away. So whatever you're working on, it's beautiful, it's needed. Yeah, I'm just excited to see what people create when they're really in that authentic blueprint that we talked about.
Yeah. And if you're listening you will be listening on one of these. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, wherever you're listening, if you do that exercise that Aisha just ran us through, and a word comes up for you or a phrase, leave it in the comments and tag both of us. I'm at Moksha Destiny on YouTube. If when I put up reels on Instagram, you can tag your word there too, and we can see what everybody's words are. If something comes to you from that exercise, I think that would be fun. So, okay, well, thank you so much for your time. This was great. I enjoyed spending a little bit of time, and I'll ping you when all the episode stuff is ready to come out in a few days.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Keep exploring, keep questioning, and stay immersed in the infinite drop.